All right, we're back in the Orange 70s Lazy Boy for another edition of Mike Finds Things, where I go out in the wild and find cool old records, usually at estate sales, occasionally a thrift store. Sometimes I pick up a record lot. Sometimes I show you other things that I find in my travels. And this week we do have a all estate sale version of with all three sizes of records that we normally find here in this stack. This is a several weeks of accumulation because we didn't have any estate sales over the holidays, and of course we had the Eaton Canyon fire, which got within a mile, barely within a mile of my house. Unfortunately, it caused a lot of problems. I don't see a lot of estate sales happening locally in the near future. I probably have to travel a little bit further. And also, we're starting up with car show season again. On my other channel, I film car shows, which is my name, Mike Frankovich. A lot of people do watch both channels, and that one takes precedence over this one since that's a larger channel. All right, so we're going to get into this. Some cool stuff I found. And also, eventually, I do want to do a video on some of my jukeboxes, and also I did pick up some arcade games recently off Facebook Marketplace, old electromechanical stuff. So if I get bored, maybe I'll make a video on those. None of them are working as of yet. One of them kind of works, and one of them I haven't even tried. Let's get into it. So last week we did do the last of my albums. We're not doing that anymore. We might do the one with the soundtracks. In fact, we have a soundtrack in this stack, but it's one I just bought. We're going to start with the 45s. I got 178 and a few LPs. This sale was actually down in Compton. I waited till the second day of the sale because I was filming at the Long Beach car swap meet. And so it was easier for me to get to that after that rather than drive down there as a special trip. They did have some cool 45s. They had some LPs. Her LP prices this later on in the sale were completely out of whack with any sort of reality. I think she just priced everything high Discogs, then added like 50% extra onto that, and I can't imagine any of that stuff selling. Like there was a copy of, like, if you remember a few weeks ago, we found a copy of My Sharia Moore. I think it was in my old records I bought years ago. Stevie Wonder. She wanted $125 for a copy of the LP My Sharia Moore Stevie Wonder. So kind of gives you an idea of her prices. I can't imagine any of that stuff even sold. The 45s were $2 for $1, so we dug right in, and we're going to get into here for some cheap 45s. Most of them weren't in the greatest shape, but some interesting stuff. I thought this was a promo. It is not. It is a song everybody knows, I would assume, that watches the channel. On the Soul label, on a Motown Soul label, Shotgun, Junior Walker in the All-Stars. And I don't think I've ever run across an original 45 of this, so I just assumed because it was a white label, it was a promo, but it was not. Hotcha is the B-side. Not in the greatest shape, definitely playable. Cool to have an original copy. It was dirt cheap. And I think that sale was about 10 or 15 minutes from where I filmed that morning. Next one I was a 61 Soul record. I didn't really have time to look these up. I just wanted to... I actually had stuff I had to do that day, including getting that video up. If you don't know my swap meet videos, I usually try to get up the same day, the car swap meets that I film. And this weekend, I'm actually off to Turlock Auto Swap Meet. I'm going up to 99. I'm going to check and see if there's any sales on the way up. I know Fresno and Bakersfield, like, they're really bad about posting their sales online, like on estatesales.net or .com or whatever, but... I know I'm going to check Craigslist and see if anything pops up for sales up that way. So hopefully I can get another video for you guys for next week. Otherwise, we'll be doing the soundtracks or something else that I found, which I have plenty of stuff I've never done a video on in the house. We got Chuck Jackson in Real Life on Wand. Always take a chance on the Soul stuff on Wand. You never know what you're going to get. Not a high value. This one's only a few bucks. The same old story. So I'll take chances on stuff if it's 50 cents a piece, and, you know, without sitting there looking up everything that I don't, you know, I'm not 100% sure on. Here's one that had a low value. A little Junior Parker blues record on Duke. And you get your yo-yo. This guy, D. Dean, put his name on all the records. Not in terrible shape. Unfortunately, a lot of the 45, like the good 45s were out of the sleeves, and then the 70s hits were in the sleeves, so, which happens a lot. And Mary Jo's the B-side. That one's only a few dollar record according to Discogs. It's from 1961. Getting into, I do have some that I priced that are higher value. 64 Soul record. This is one I think most people know. Joe Tex, Hold What You've Got. On the dial label. It's a very early dial, very primitive looking dial label. There's that. And the B-side is Fresh Out of Tears by Joe Tex. It's a nice 64 Soul record. Definitely playable. Worth picking up for $2 for $1. Another one, the big hit. Not a high value. Good one for like a lowrider set though that everybody knows. And it is a return. It has a hole punched in it, but the record is super clean, so I grabbed it. 1970. I wasn't sure if I had this one or not. I probably do, though. 5, 10, 15, 25, 30 Years of Love by the Presidents on Sussex Records. It's a big one, like a big one for like a lowrider oldie set. And I'm Still Dancing is the B-side from the Presidents. Not the Presidents of the United States of America. They didn't do Lump. Like the one from the 90s. In fact, when I was looking up the group, that's like the first thing that came up. When I was looking up the record, automatically, on Discogs. That was like an alternative group from the 90s, for those of you who remember. Here's a 68 Soul record with the original sleeve. Big hit, which usually means not a high value, but with the original Atlantic sleeve. Tighten Up, Archie Bell and the Drells from Houston, Texas. They not only sing, but they dance just as good as they want. You know the song. And because you want more Tighten Up, we got Tighten Up Part 2 on the B-side. That's a lot of tightening up. It's a lot of telling you they're from Houston. I think they come up with more on side 2. I think they come up with more instruments to tighten up on. I think they do the drums, the bass. They start doing the xylophone, the kazoo. No, they tighten up on everything by the end of that record. All right. 68, we got a Soul Lowrider. Lowrider Soul record, Philly Soul, on Philly Groove Records. Wow, somebody's got loud breaks out there. I wonder if it's going to come through. Low of a buck, mid of 4, high of 15. Not a crazy value or anything. It is the Dolph Phonics with Break Your Promise. Good one to jam to when you're cruising your Impala. Speaking of which, I might pull my Impala out today, my 69 Impala. Maybe we'll listen to this. I'll put on the iTunes. Alfie is the B-side, the Dolphonics. Those little Dolphonics 45s. This one's in really nice shape, too. Of course, the one you always find is la 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 means I love you. It's the one you always find. I'm not sure if I got enough. I got the right amount of laws in there, but you know the song I'm talking about. I don't have to explain it to you. So that was a cool one to find in good condition. Not Dolphonics you usually find. Lowrider stuff is very, 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 very popular here in Southern California, especially if you watch my other channel. Here's one that has a bit of value. Unfortunately, the condition was kind of... I haven't tried to play this one yet. It is from 1956. It is a rock and roll. This is an artist you know I like to find because I've said that before in previous videos. Low of $7.50, mid of $21, high of $104. Now, high Discogs prices usually means the thing's mint or it's autographed or it's somehow was sealed originally and not, usually there's like a special circumstance why someone would pay that much for one. It is Who Do You Love by Bo Diddley on Checker. And it's a little worn, but I'm sure that will play. Unfortunately, he did put his name, D. Dean. That'll come off because it's just use some lighter fluid. That should come off. And I'm Bad on the B-side on Checker. Where's the Bo Diddley? We found a Bo Diddley promo, a few weeks ago in one of the videos. I always like to find any Bo Diddley, even if it's on, no matter what size record it's on. I do have a couple of Bo Diddley 78s in the collection, which have appeared on the channel. I don't know how far back. I'm hoping I can find some stuff at the car swap meet, because a lot of times there's records at car swap meets too. I've seen guys break out a box of records, so maybe I'll find something there. I will be filming. My focus obviously is going to be on filming the car corral, as I do at car swap meets. One from 1957, low 50 cents. Again, who are these people selling records for 50 cents on Discogs? A mid of 550, high of $20. Not in the, again, same guy's record. Nah, it's okay shape, it will play. Not a Chuck Berry we normally find, but it is on chess. It is Oh Baby Doll. Not one of your usually you find School Day or Johnny Be Good or one of those. Or Maybelline. And then La Janda is the B-side. I always like to find cool chess label stuff. I always mention first concert I ever went to was Chuck Berry and Jerry Lee Lewis at the Pantages Theaters on Hollywood Boulevard. So, been a big fan of Chuck Berry for quite some time. Of course, it wasn't like back. This was like in the 80s. Okay, it wasn't like I'm not like super. I'm not like. It was in the 80s. Okay, that's when I was kind of growing up. 1959 R&B record. Love a Buck, mid of 8, high of 30 on Discogs. On Duke, Bobby Bland, I'll Take Care of You. So very well known R&B blues artist. And that's why I like to find cool Duke label stuff. I prefer it when I find 78s on Duke, but that's okay. I'll take a 45. I'm still looking for Pledging My Love by Johnny Ace on 78. I'm like the only guy who has not come across this thing. Seriously. I've like watched like random videos. I bought a bunch of random 78s. Look, there's a copy of Pledging My Love. I do have an original 45 Duke copy of it though. I think I have Pledging My Love, but a much later pressing in this Seaberg 222. Love that song. Here's one has hardly any value whatsoever, but you'll see why I took a chance on it. 1971 soul record, Love a Buck, mid of a buck, high of $3. Donnie Elbert, Where Did Our Love Go? Yes, that Where Did I Love Go? The Supreme song, the Holland Dozier Holland written piece on All Platinum Records out of Inglewood, New Jersey. Anytime you see something that's soul and it's on a label you've never seen, you grab it. And sometimes you score big and sometimes you don't. And this time we did not. But in fact, I looked it up. There's like a bunch of like label variations of this, if you can believe that. But Supreme's cover. All right. These 45s, these were purchased prior to the fire up the road. In fact, I did do a drive-through up there. I was able to drive through a bit. It is the worst thing I've ever seen. That's all I'm really going to say about it, because I know what was up there before, and that's what makes it really hard for me to do that. But this was a guy I knew who was a record guy who was having a sale. I bought two. I didn't have time to go through all his records, unfortunately. I kind of stopped by. I thought he'd have a few records, but he had like a lot, and I did not have, because he actually resells them. I run this guy at different estate sales. I don't know if his house survived or not. It's at the very south end of where the fire reached. So I'm hoping he's okay and everything's okay. I did pick up 245s from him. I did not have time. I was actually dealing with stuff with dealing with other stuff at that time. Like my mother had passed, so I was taking care of my stepfather, so I had to run over to West LA. But from 55, we got a rock and roll classic. Low of 5, mid of 20, high of 72. You know the song. I wish it was on a different label, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It is That's All Right by Elvis Presley. Yes, it's the RCA version. Sorry, it's not the expensive Sun version. Sorry. Of course, Blue Moon of Kentucky is the B-side. If you can't figure out why I grabbed this, then you're probably watching the wrong channel, because, man, you don't come across this one very often. If you see it and it's on a Sun label, it's worth a lot of money. But that one's the RCA Victor. When Sam Phillips sold Elvis's contract to RCA, he sold all the recordings as well to them, which is why you never saw later Sun pressings of the Sun era Elvis stuff. They were always on RCA after that. So still cool to find that, especially on like early pressing, RCA pressing. Here's one I took a chance on and came up short. It's not really worth much. It's from 1950, so it was more in the 78 era. In fact, Discogs only shows a 78 copy, which is worth a little bit. It is Clyde McCoy and his orchestra, Stacko Lee, which is like Stagger Lee, but it's kind of like a poppy version. It's not really like a good like R&B version. And I did find some people asking like $2 or $3 for this one online. Something I took a chance on, not really worth anything. There's a lot of great Stacko Lee, which is Stagger Lees, that are actually R&B records, which I've found in the past. That one was kind of okay, whatever, if you will. Those two were from that sale. Like I said, it's right by here. A guy I know who buys and sells records. I have not run into him anywhere since. We haven't had, like I said, just all the sales are kind of like not really, nothing's gonna. I don't see anything happening in this area for a while. So I don't know when I'm going to run into him again. 1956, doo-wopper, low of $1, mid of $6, high of 25. It is a 78. Okay, that is a 78 Discogs price. It's a doo-wop. A lot of 78 guys don't like Discogs, so take that one as a grain of salt. It's not something I plan on selling anyway. Story on this is I had to escape all the smoke, so I went to Palm Springs. Filmed a show out there, the Paradise Road Motorcycle and Car Show a couple weeks ago. On the way back, I'm sitting at the In-N-Out Burger at Morongo Casino, checking estatesales.net on my phone. Realized there was a sale in, I believe this was Upland, on the way home, that I had barely enough time to get there before they closed. So I finished eating, jumped in the car, and headed straight there. I got there 5 minutes before the sale closed. I had enough time to go through the 78s. And there was only one good one. So I spent a whopping $1 at that sale on this. On Whippet Record, we got the Robins, from like Smokey Joe's Cafe. Cherry Lips. A very clean 78. The rest of the 78s were not doo-wop or R&B stuff. They were mostly like your normal stuff you find on 78. And out of the picture is the B-side on that one. That one's definitely staying in the collection. A doo-wop classic. That's our 178. We got a couple LPs. This sale, I went to a couple sales in the North Hollywood Valley Village. I went to Burbank to a sale. Didn't buy anything. Then I went over to North Hollywood. Got there just before they let everybody in. A bunch of people had already signed up. This was like a privately listed sale, so they actually wound up letting people in like 20 minutes early. So a lot of people on the list weren't even back yet, and then it didn't even say they had records, and then they wound up having records. It's one of those where I kind of guessed, like, those people look like they would have records. And yep, they did. Most of the records were terrible, but we did find some good stuff, and we're going to get into what we found that was the good stuff. First one we have, this is an artist I always pick up when I find in the wild in good shape. And is still collectible to this day. And it's not one that most people know is who it is or that it's collectible. So 1958, low of 9. I didn't go through all the pressings of this because I'd be here all year. Low of 9, mid of 22, high of 44 is I think it's this pressing. It is Other Worlds, Other Sounds, Esquivel and his orchestra. And he always had the best covers too. Space Age, Bachelor Pad, Music in living stereo. It's a living stereo version. Of course, they did make mono as well. And these are fantastic. And the jacket's in good shape. The record's starting to come through the bottom there. In fact, I need to get an inner sleeve on this thing like pronto. But these Esquivel records do have some value. That Space Age Bachelor Pad Music made a big comeback in the 90s. Still popular. Esquivel is one of the artists in that genre that doesn't show up as much as, say, like a Les Baxter or like a Martin Denny. Always worth picking up, especially when it's not that expensive. Here's one. I was not going to try to track down the pressing on this one, as there's a billion pressings of this. A soundtrack for a movie I've seen, I'd say many times, not a ton of times. But I've seen in theaters, I've seen outside at a cemetery in Hollywood, and I've seen on VHS and probably DVD. It's probably one of the only movies, one of the movies I watched a lot that I will not show my kid yet. I don't think she's old enough, and my ex-wife agrees. It is Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. If you like Moog synthesizer, this one's for you. So it is a Clockwork Orange U.S. pressing of the soundtrack. I did not find the value. I think this guy paid $38 for it at like a record thing at one point, because there's a $38. I think that says $38. I did not pay $38 for this. I think I paid $1 or $2 each for these. Pretty good shape. Same with the Esquivel record. But the Clockwork Orange soundtrack. I've never come across this in the wild, so I'm happy to have it in my collection. I still won't show my kid the movie yet. Probably in the next few years. I think I first saw it when I was probably like 16 or 17. So she's almost there. She's 15 now. Obviously, I think that was like the first. Like it was banned in the UK. They couldn't show it for years. You know, it was like a big deal. It was a Kubrick movie that was banned in the UK, and then I think it was even rated X here in the US. So if you've seen the movie, you know why, and I'm not going to go into details. Final record of the video from the same sale I got the other LPs at. Also, the local thrift store has been terrible lately. Haven't found anything there. I went to one sale. What was it, like El Monte or something? I went to one sale the other day, and I guess they would have records, and they did. Actually, I think there were some 78s in the photos. He had all these killer 45s. He left them all outside, and they were just completely warped all the hell. And I'm just like stuff that I was just like, oh my God, like bootleg lowrider oldies, like lowrider oldies. They weren't bootlegs, and he had some bootleg lowrider oldies, which I like to buy just as sort of like a historical thing. You know, the blackjack label stuff. Really cool stuff. None of it was usable in any form, which I was really sad about. And unfortunately, that would have made for a really killer video if those records were in good shape. I probably would have got them pretty cheap, because the guy who owned all the stuff, who actually, not the estate sale company, but the guy who was actually there when I got there, he was actually a viewer of my other channel, because he's a car guy. So, in fact, they had car stuff, which is why I went as well. But he was keeping all the good stuff for himself, I will just say that. He definitely had some good stuff, but it was over in the stuff he was keeping. And he had a jukebox, and I was just talking, like, oh, I got a jukebox, but it's over in the other thing, and it was like a one I didn't want. It was left outside for so many years, it wasn't even worth it for anybody. All right, last record, 1967. This is a Columbia Record Club exclusive edition. Low of 22 cents. Again, who are you people? Mid of 2, high of 30. It's probably a $5 record. It's actually a record set. It's two records. It is Dion Warwick. This one has Anyone Who Had a Heart on it. What else is on this one? Oh God, our version of Wishing and Hoping. If you like Dion Warwick, it's probably a good one to have. I like to throw on some Dion Warwick every once in a while. Hopefully we get some stuff, some sales popping up, or hopefully I find some stuff when I'm on this road trip. We'll see. I've actually got to leave town early Friday because Trump's coming to view the fire damage. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get out if I don't leave early in the morning. So it's probably going to be an early rise and get out. I got to see if there's if they say when he's coming around. They'll probably do the Palisades first. We'll see. So it's a really bad situation. If you have a chance to donate something for fire relief, if you have the extra, money to do so or whatever, I try to donate some of my mother's old clothing. They had enough clothing. I've got bags of my mother's clothing in my Suburban right now. They said, oh, we don't need it right now, but it's just a bad situation up there in Altadena. And no, the people in Altadena aren't movie stars. That's the the people in Altadena are normal people. Some of these families had these houses for generations. Many of them did not have fire insurance, and or they were underinsured. So I will say that. And as I know from my shop building, insurance is very hard to deal with after a fire. In fact, that building's still not fixed, and I don't know what I'm going to do now. But that's beside the point. I'll always be out kind of looking around for some records, as you should be. You should be out trying to find some records. We'll bring them to you on the channel. I'll try to keep these videos going as much as I can with all the madness in my life right now. And I'm also going to film them for the other channel, which is my name, Mike Frankovich. And until next time, I'll be seeing you.